Is Ryan Tannehill looking to keep on making good on that second opportunity? We have Modestas Bukauskas already 2-0 in that second stint with the promotion, and he's looking to move it forward against the undefeated knockout artist, or is he? It's Vitor Petrino. Matt, there's some featured artists or some featured fighters on this card. Obviously, Jalton Almeida is one of them, but then you have a couple of guys at a CM system, and that's Vitor Petrino and Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. They're getting a lot of buzz. They're getting a lot of promotion from the locals in Brazil. They're doing a lot of photo ops as well, those three men. And this is one of them. I mean, Vitor Petrino is such an interesting guy. Starts off his pro career, knocks out Rodolfo. Let's run it back on Contender Series. Knocks him out again. He gets into the UFC. He has a fight of the night grappling match without a finish against Anton Turkalj, but so far in the UFC for Petrino, it's been nothing but wins. The Turkalj win, and his last time out, he solved the riddle that is the outside striker, Marcin Prachnio. Prachnio looked really good in the first round. Petrino's hands started to drop quite a bit. He couldn't get the takedown in the first round. He was able to rally through it. A close second round, but in the third round, Petrino getting the submission win over Prachnio. So when it does come down to this one, it very much is a clash of styles. Petrino is aim big, miss big to the nth degree. I remember when we were kids, Matt, we used to talk about our favorite baseball players, and we always try to replicate their swings. And we'd sit there and we'd do the big hurt, the Frank Thomas.
Gary Sheffield.
The Gary Sheffield, always moving his bat. But I remember we'd always try and unsuccessfully do the Jason Giambi, and about halfway through your swing, you'd let go, and you just have the top
We
hand.
weren't on Mexican supplements like he was, though.
Pull the bat through. It was in Japan. It was just a sushi.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
I eat sushi all the time. I'm
Vitor
not a big guy.
Petrino's one of those guys to where he swings big when it's on the feet. And if he misses, he tires himself out quite a bit. And we saw Prachnio out there kind of pip-pop, doing a little bit of that.
A hippie, a jibby.
On the outside, and Petrino didn't really have an answer for it to where he was eating the leg kicks. He has a really high Muay Thai guard. He's getting hit a lot to the stomach.
You've got Bukauskas by the sounds of it.
Then he's drawing his hands down. Petrino really did struggle, but if he gets the takedown, he can really get wins out there. And if you can go out there and grapple for 3 rounds against Turkalj, it really does say something. So for Petrino, a really interesting slew of wins, a lot of finishes. For Bukauskas, again, first run in the UFC didn't go all that well. There were a couple of chintzy decision losses. It was punctuated by Khalil Roundtree taking a knee home with him. So Bukauskas goes away. He fights over with Cage Warriors where he was once champ. And he becomes the champ again. He gets that big time win. You'll remember it against Chuck Campbell. And as that last round of their fights going on, he lands that big right hand as Campbell's backing away. Gets a finish. Now Bukauskas, a winner in the underdog slot against Tyson Pedro. And his last time out, he gets another decision win over Zach Paunga. Now, I'm not here to say that that's one of the chintzier decisions. Was it as bad as Fury versus Ngannou? I don't know. But it had me in an uproar, and there was quite a bit of fervor out there on the Twitter sphere at the time. Now it's X. So Bukauskas, again, he's had a lot of these close decisions. We know him as a multiple-time British kickboxing champ. We know him for training with his father, Gintis Combat. You know Gintis. But for Bukauskas in this camp, training at a close-by gym, and training with some really big fighters as well, Matt. I'll let you kind of cook on this one, but it's an interesting kind of clash of styles here.
I have a really hard time with this matchup because Bukauskas has all of the tools he needs to go out there and win this fight. You set it up. He's able to stay on the back foot, use his movement, mix in some of the kicks. Probably don't throw a lot of them, though, to be honest, because if one of those does get caught, Petrino's so strong in that top position that even though Bukauskas is not a bad grappler by any means, Petrino's still probably going to be strong enough to hold him in a lot of those positions, especially if he does get wrist control up against the cage. But that's the big issue I have with this fight. Bukauskas does a great job of moving his feet, but his back can still be on the cage as he moves his feet. And if that's the situation he finds himself in, it does make Petrino's job a little bit easier to help cut that cage off, make the takedowns easier to then go for. But that's the hard time I have with this fight. Bukauskas is one of those fighters to where if he hit 15% harder, he's the best fighter in the world. Because if he had that kind of power that really forced fighters to get off him to where they couldn't chase him down and try to close the distance up against the cage, I think he would be like a bad MFer. It's just the fact that guys don't seem to have that much respect for the punching power coming back their way. He can hit them with clean shots, and they are clean shots. He's got great technique, but they're not always going to hurt them, rock them, and that's the thing. If he could hurt Petrino, really rock him, and keep him from just that constant forward pressure, then I think we could see a really nice performance from Bukauskas, but that's what the fight comes down to.
Bellato hit him clean and dropped him in their second matchup, and then Petrino stormed back and knocked him out.
But still, do you just think Bukauskas shouldn't try to hurt him? My point is, if he hurts Petrino, it's going to make his job that much easier circling away and avoiding some of those takedown attempts and the power shots as well. I don't think not hurting a guy, Craig, is a bad idea in a fight.
Scoring goals, you win the game.
What do we talk about on this? Who scores the most goals is going to win?
Bukauskas, Matt, in this matchup, again, I talked about him, he's always trained under his father. He's always represented Lithuania and England quite proudly. Before this one, he's training at a BST MMA. You may go BST MMA. Well, you probably saw the graphic. Blood, Sweat, and Tears MMA. I'm going to name a gym.
Name.
I'm going to make it awkward. It's like Load and Reload from Metallica. Look up what the cover art is on those ones. But when you consider this matchup, Bukauskas training with Cage Warriors top man. He wasn't able to get the middleweight strap, but Will Curry, a very, very good fighter. And Lithuania's own Arūnas Andriuškevičius. It's a hard name to pronounce, also out of Lithuania. When it does come down to this one, Matt, Petrino is a very, very big favorite. We have it to look at the topology votes. Always in the underdog role is Bukauskas. I'm going to say over under 80% Petrino.
I think they'll be under 80, but it'll be the favorite.
And it's over, so 1,296 total votes, 83% Petrino, 24% by decision, 64% by knockout. For the 17% that are Bukauskas to win, 72% by decision. Matt, Modestas Bukauskas, 15-5. You look at his losses. He has been finished by TKO in 3 of those losses. Roundtree, Jimmy Crute, John Redmond, and Pavel Dorofei. That one was by heel hooks, not by knockout. But it's been a while, and he's one of those guys that it really does match up. Okay, it's the fitness and the conditioning of a guy like Bukauskas. And it's just that all-encompassing power of a guy like Petrino.
I think Petrino gets him down early, though. It does even the odds in that factor because it's not going to allow Bukauskas to just evade a lot of those takedown attempts, which is going to force Petrino to burn that much more gas. And it's going to make Bukauskas try to waste a lot more energy to get back up to his feet. And that's why it's a hard fight to predict because I do have Petrino in the fight. I'll say that right now. But if Bukauskas can just defend a lot of the takedowns, but that's where I'm going to stop on this. I don't think it's going to be the most aesthetically pleasing fight because I think we're going to get these guys stuck a lot. I think Petrino is going to be going for takedowns against the cage. I think Bukauskas is going to have those kind of underhooks. I think we're going to get some clinch work out of these guys for a large portion of it. The difference is, though, I think Petrino is going to be the one activating or at least engaging a lot of those positions. And if he's the one going for takedowns and Bukauskas isn't hitting him with Travis Brown-esque elbows, then I think Petrino is going to get a decision if he's not able to get the finish.
From my notes, 1 minute and 5 seconds left of the first round where Petrino's taking on Marcin Prachnio. Belly breathing, waist hands, Petrino. Round 2, 20 seconds in. Petrino flips a Prachnio takedown attempt and gets it into Petrino's world, and he does a good job on top. I mean, I've kind of harped on it for a really long time with Bukauskas going back to his fight against Nasiglia with Cage Warriors to the fact that Bukauskas didn't have good takedown defense his first run through with Cage Warriors. It's gotten a little bit better as his career's progressed. So if Petrino can't get them early and he tires himself out, you could see another Bukauskas fight similar to the Tyson Pedro re-entry at UFC 284 earlier on this year. I'll ever so slightly go with Petrino, but to see the odds where they're at and see the crowd where they're at, it just leaves me cause for concern as all. In this one, both of us going with Brazil's Vitor Petrino to get the win. A big-time fight, Matt. The next one on the card.
A fun one.
Ooh, boy. You know what it is, and you're not going to want to miss it if you don't. So keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say. Let's get into it.